This is a message to independent media. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe. And let's briefly talk about what's happening with independent media and Donald Trump attacking major independent journalists and lawyers like Mark Elias and going after Midas Touch and what impact that has and where we are going with this sort of an environment and what we should be doing as independent media. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say we because I consider myself just an engaged citizen who is doing a podcast, but by independent media, I mean, everybody from the Bulwark to Midas Touch to Aaron Rupar to Charlie Sykes to Katie Couric to now Jim Acosta, to so many others that I listen to. And so I also listen to periodically Joe Rogan and other right-wing. There's another right-wing show that I listen to. And I mean, I can't call them right-wing as much as a lot of sort of nonsense and some news and a lot of propaganda. That's what those shows are. And then I pit it up against shows that really make sense to me, like shows on Midas Touch and Bulwark and independent journalists and lawyers like Mark Elias, Aaron Rupar, and Charlie Sykes, and many, Katie Couric, and many others like them. And I'm a droplet in that ocean, and I'm seeing that Donald Trump is attacking independent media. He thinks, and to a large extent, it is true that he has already brought legacy media to its knees, and in large part by not every media establishment standing with Associated Press kind of broke the back of that media. But independent media, first thing I'd like to say is please take very serious care of yourselves and make sure that you take precautions for the threats that you're getting from both Donald Trump's government, Donald Trump himself, and the impact that is having of sending the message out by Bullhorn to Donald Trump's stand back and stand by army. His army of Oath Keepers and Proud Boys and 3%ers, his army of January 6th insurrectionists who are now more emboldened to carry out violence in the name of Donald Trump. So please watch out for that. Remain vigilant. That is my first sort of plea, because we need you. And Midas Touch and Bulwark and other independent media, Mark Elias has made out statements, public statements, that they're not going to be bullied into shutting up, which is exactly what needs to happen with everybody. And we have seen the failure to do that with the legacy media press, where they're just letting Donald Trump walk all over them. And what they're doing is regularly sane-washing what Donald Trump is saying and doing. So you get your news from people like I mentioned, and people like Heather Cox Richardson, people like Glenn Kirshner, and you sort of see the truth. And it is a gift to our community, online community and outside, that we have these independent media organizations that are now picking up the weight of the free press, because the free press that is legacy press has been encumbered by Donald Trump's constant bullying and actual threats against those companies and suing them. So a couple of things that I'd like to see happen. So Sarah Longwell does amazing focus groups. And I think it's important for other media to do focus groups So Midas Touch would, if you did a focus group, that would be great with sort of center right to center left voters, because Sarah Longwell does is doing focus groups with 2024 Donald Trump voters to see what their reaction is to what Donald Trump is doing. And not all their reaction is good. So doing that brings us the news on the ground. And I think that other independent media should do that as well. I'm only talking about Bulwark and Midas because those are the ones that I watch on a regular basis. And the other thing, people may not like me saying this. Please stop posting Donald Trump's face on everything that you publish. Bulwark doesn't do that. Midas Touch does that. Brian Tyler Cohen does that. Some others do that. And I feel that it is an inadvertent and unintended deification, even if it is vilification, because there's no such thing as bad publicity. And just the trauma that his face induces for so many of us. Let's put pictures up of what he's trying to do, or of the people he's trying to marginalize, or the communities and establishments that he's trying to dismantle, and the buildings and properties that he's trying to sell. That would be, I think, better for the public to be able to remove Donald Trump's visual from their psyche and day-to-day engagement. Or maybe you're doing that for engagement. But I think the name Donald Trump in the title does that plenty. I would like for independent media to bring in grassroots activists and engaged citizens who make important points and contribute massively to both physical grassroots research, outreach, and also to online outreach and education. So bring up these grassroots activists and these individuals who are speaking truth to power, and let them be heard by your large platforms that cater to independent thinkers who watch you throughout the spectrum from left to right because they respect your opinion and your perspective. It's very important to be able to look down on your way up and see those places from which you came that gave you your ideas to do what you're doing today. Grassroots ideology, grassroots movement, grassroots activism, simple solutions to fix problems that face us, like tax the rich, regulate corporations, overturn Citizens United, then pay the living wage, affordable housing, lower cost of living, affordable health care, no tax loopholes for the rich, and funding of the Social Security by lifting the cap on the max of Social Security taken based on income. Because now the cap is at $250,000. So if you make more than $250,000, you are not getting a Social Security tax tacked onto that income over $250,000. There are plenty who are not just in the 0.1%. There are many in the 10% who fall into that category. So if you can raise that amount and just keep it unlimited, that it will go as far as your income goes and as far as you pay taxes, that itself would take care of the Social Security problem of insolvency. But no, instead of doing that, politicians, MAGA politicians want to cut Social Security funding to be able to give tax cuts to the rich. So we are in a place where the independent media holds a very important point. And I pray to the universe that these independent journalists, independent media are taking the threats to them by Donald Trump, his government, and his stand by and stand back armies. They need to remain vigilant. They need to remain, really take serious care of surveillance and security. Be aware of your surroundings. And with that said, good luck on everything that you're doing. Thank you for bringing this to us. Thank you for bringing majority of your content being free, because there are many of us who live on a very limited income but still want to remain in the loop about the news so we can see and assess where the country is going for ourselves with your help. But that said, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and share, please, and I'll talk to you soon.